Shalom. Shalom Yasharala. Kal halalimla abanoa Yahweh. Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Bahasham Rakah Akorash. Double honors to our apostles, elders, elder bishops of Great Millstone, and a hearty shalom to the prophets of that body. Okay, and shalom and peace and blessings upon your households, all to the 144,000 and 1/3. Okay, I'll say that again correctly. Peace and blessings to the 144,000 and 1/3. Okay, and also towards your mashpakyas. Okay, and may the Lord bless you. May Yahweh Shem Shai bless you, if it's the Lord's will, with a spirit of endurance. Okay, because everything is in the Lord's hands, you know. But we have hope, and there's a certain, not certain, there is confidence there also, that our prayers pierce the clouds. As Elder Apostle Gabar would say, you know, just do your prayers, you know. Once you're done with it, you say, Tawara Aman, you know. I'm paraphrasing, of course, you know. You have to believe that your prayers have pierced the clouds and gone straight into the ears of Yahweh wa Yahweh Shai, or Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Nevertheless, as you know, there was a school shooting, right? It was about 3 days ago, so it's a couple of days late. Now, I wasn't going to make a video on this up until I saw something. Now, because of this school shooting, where I believe it's 2 individuals are dead and 17 individuals were injured. All right. Now, this is the person. Is that Edomites? Yeah. This is the Edomite. All right. Now, he looks like to be one of those Moes. All right. Because the guy's got pigtails. All right. And no, he's not trying to be a Gadite. Okay. Gadites look manly with the war braids. Okay. All right. This guy, guy, it's the understatement. He's definitely what you call a fruitcake. All right. And I'm going to leave it there. Definitely disturbed. And I mean, I've got my theories. You know, we got AI, then we got crisis actors, and then we also have Yahweh Shem Shai, who ordains and controls everything anyway, right? Also allowing this to happen because the love of many shall wax cold. People don't give a shit about each other anymore. You know, small talk is out the window. People don't want to talk anymore. All right, we're in a very volatile, crazy world because just prior to everything breaking loose, there is going to be a very huge or a high element of people going, as we say in the UK, doolally, meaning fucking crazy. All right? And now, I was checking on the gun laws of Minneapolis where the school shooting took place. Apparently, you can have concealed and carry. You have to go through a vetting process, I believe, to acquire a permit. Okay, so it basically means that if you pass the so-called permit test, you can get a firearm. Okay, and let me just see the amount of what is the population of blacks and Hispanics compared to white people in Minneapolis. All right. Census. Let's see race. Go by ethnicity, population and diversity. What is this? Okay. White is okay. Well, this is their figures that they say, so we do not know. You would think Minnesota, every time they show Minnesota, they show a bunch of crackers everywhere, so I'm assuming it's a very honkified area. That's an assumption. White would be the orange. White non-Hispanic. Well, yeah, I guess they. Okay, 254K, white non-Hispanic, black or African American non-Hispanic. 77.1K, Asian or non-Hispanic, 22K. And Hispanic population, 44.7K. So the largest group there would be so-called white people, which is approximately 254K, according to this Data USA Minneapolis. So, and what does the so-called white man like to say? You know, if you want to take a firearm out of my hands, you have to pry it out of my dead, cold hands. That's what they usually say, don't they? And see, Israelites, or I'm going to play the video in a second, right? We're not ignorant of Satan's devices. We can see what they're trying to do. They're going to use many angles to try and disarm the population. Now, they want to disarm the white population also, the Edomites. And the reason for that is because this is Esau's kingdom, the so-called white man has got access to a whole bunch of firearms. So to make it easier on martial law troops, when they're deleting and taking people to the cages or concentration camps, they want to make it seamless and easy and smooth as possible. You know, so they're going to try and disarm the people and bring in more stringent firearm laws. Okay, and this is another angle. The way they see it is, if the so-called government or Trump, right, says, okay, you know what, we're going to bring X, Y, and Z firearm laws, or we're going to make it more stringent, because even parents can pass a permit test, but they might have a crazy son or a daughter that might open the safe, or they might have the key or the fob or whatever technology they use to where the gun is stored. They can get access to it, right? So they're going to make gun laws a little bit, they're going to make the vetting process a little bit more intricate, more detailed, where virtually it's going to be hard to get a firearm. Okay, and the way, since there's a majority of the people there are so-called white people, according to the statistics, right? The Edomite population will say, you know what, our children are being deleted, because I believe it's a bunch of Edomite children that got deleted. Our children are being deleted, so therefore, we want these. We want more hardcore firearm laws. All right, and also with all the news they're pumping in, and the media's pumping out through your news channels on the international and national scale, as well as your media outlets on the internet. They're showing a whole bunch of brown people, black, so-called black and Hispanic, you know, and they always show the most grimiest Jake as well, dreadlocks. They always show them with darker hue, of course, and not so comely. You know how Esau is, isn't it? Playing to the stereotypes. Yeah, so the way Esau is going to see it is, their children will be safe. The foot will be on the neck of the so-called black and Hispanic and Native Indian. So the way they see it, the so-called white man will give up a whole bunch of their freedoms for these gun laws to be passed, if it goes in that direction. This is just a spiritual assumption, right? And so there's that avenue there. Because Trump is making a big hoo-ha about this. You know, he's got his American flag at half-mast, right, to show respect when niggas die every day. Black, so-called black, brown, you know, every day. Even that ones that look like Esau. Your pale niggas die every day. Israelite foreigners die every day. They're all niggas nonetheless, because if they're all Jake, right? Excuse me. And what's my train of thought there? Yeah, Jake dies every day. Yeah, I thought came back. Jake dies every day. There's never a half-mast for, uh, you know, all the Jakes that have been deleted. From my recollection, I've never heard of the president saying, "Oh, we're going to put the flag at half-mast, show respect or whatever," you know, because to them it's just another dead monkey, a dead nigger. They don't really give a shit. So, but for this, there's emphasis. There's a spotlight on this situation. So therefore, they're going to utilize this situation for their NWO advantage. And there are going to be more situations like this cropping up. Nevertheless, 2 Corinthians 2 and 11, lest Satan should get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. All right? The elect are not ignorant, okay? Matthew 24 and 24. For there shall arise false Hamashiachs and false prophets, and shall shew great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Okay? Now, Esau showing his signs, okay? Wonders not so much, but the Lord is showing the wonders in the skies, but people are coming up with their assumptions. They're making mockery of the chariots showing up. They're making mockery of Jake's dying, the term usual suspects, because the so-called Black, Hispanic, and Native Indian does not have the monopoly on murder and deleting and enslaving and eating people and being a faggot on this planet Earth and stealing people's wealth. That's the so-called white man. He's the uncivilized cave dog, cave dweller. He's the ugly hot dog, water-smelling motherfucker. All right? He is the problem of the earth. He is the fucking cancer. All right? But yet, they want to call you Israelites uncivilized. You 2/3 are uncivilized. All right? You unelect are going to get deceived. You heathens are going to get deceived. You unelect are going to get caught up in Jacob's trouble. Because Jacob's trouble is for you 2/3, not for the elect. And Jacob's trouble is also for you fucking heathens, you crackers and honkies, Elamites, Ishmaelites, all you non-Israelites. It's for you. Okay? But the elect can see through this. There's many questions that crop up in our mind. We have a multitude of answers that are alluding towards NWO, which we know Esau's going to try and get that off the ground. But we know through the spirit and power of Yahweh Hashem Yashai, all the questions that we have will be answered and deciphered. Okay? All right? All right? Either through the Lord working on our minds or the Lord giving us the answers through our elders and prophets. But we know, and I know, that something ain't sitting right with me. All right? But also, it could a simple fact that, these curses are coming on these crackers. Deuteronomy 30 verse 7, the Lord did say these curses will slowly but surely come on these devils too, and which they are. That's where they're bitching and moaning. They're homeless, they're on crack and heroin, fentanyl and all that bullshit, And I look at some of these Edomites that are homeless without teeth in their mouth, and I keep thinking, 100 years ago, that same Edomite bitch probably wearing her long dress and carrying a fucking umbrella, probably sitting in a carriage or maybe some kind of luxury vehicle, while Jakes were in the street jumping off the pavements, trying to appease her people, and while Jake will be standing on the corner doing what he's got to do to survive, and these Edomites are living lovely. Now the shoe's on the other foot. All right. But nevertheless, let's go back to the news segment. Where is it? There we go. All right, let's go. Let's play it. Copyright fair use.
This tragedy, including President Trump, who has ordered all flags to be flown at half-mast through Sunday.
He ordered all flags. Trump ordered all flags to be flown at half-mast to show respect to this shooting. Okay, so when he's acknowledging it, or the powers that be are acknowledging it on a significant level, we know, all right, they're definitely behind it. Everything's of Yahweh Hashem Yashai, of course. The Lord is controlling everybody's mind, but we know the devil is up to no good as usual.
Day. We go now to Lucas Tomlinson with the latest from the administration. Lucas.
Good morning, Ashley and Todd. The shooter was born Robert Westman, but changed his name to Robin 6 years ago. First Lady Melania Trump offering her condolences, writing...
Okay, so that so-called man changed his name to Robin 6 years ago. He changed his name. I guess Robin could fall on a masculine level as well as a feminine level, but Robert is a pretty straightforward name. Robert, Rob, Bert, Bob, It's pretty straightforward. And you saw what he looked like. So he's more than likely a flip-flop, one of them, flip-flops, Leviticus 20:13, a mole.
Quote, "My heart is shattered for the families and friends of the victims of today's senseless and depraved violent act. The shooting began during a school-wide mass marking the beginning of the school year at around 8:30 local time."
Mass. Mass means death as well, right? Like Christmas, Christ's death. And I hate to use the word Christ, but you know what I'm alluding to, right? This is all done strategically. All right? All right? Times, certain words used. All right? Always just analyze it.
Yesterday morning, the shooter opened fire with a rifle, shotgun, and pistol, all legally purchased weapons, according to police. 2 children, ages 8 and 10, were killed.
All legally purchased weapons. Weapons can be purchased illegally also. So basically, when they take certain powers away, it's going to affect the so-called law-abiding individual. Not the gangsters, not the criminals, not the PDF files, They're still going to be good because they got their little plugs and the government will pump the guns to them anyway because, that's what the government do.
17 others were wounded, including 14 children and 3 elderly individuals. Also, according to police, his mother previously worked at the school. FBI Director Kash Patel is calling this a hate crime, posting, "The FBI is investigating this shooting as an act of domestic terrorism and hate crime targeting Catholics. The FBI will continue to provide updates on our
targeting Catholics." Okay.
Ongoing investigation with the public as we are able. Now, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem says the shooter at the Catholic school was a 23-year-old man claiming to be transgender. The words "for the children" and "where is your God" and "kill Donald Trump" were written on a Rifle magazine. That's according to Kristi Noem. She also said, quote, "Our deepest prayers are with the children, parents, families, educators, and Christians everywhere. We mourn with them. We pray for healing."
Now, because there's a so-called religion, Catholicism, which is basically Satanism, wacky-tacky Christianity is Satanism, because it has nothing to do with the scriptures, okay? All they do is regurgitate John 3:16, and they do not even know what's that about, a scripture, okay? Right? Now, since they're making such a big hoopla about it, and it's a Catholic school, and all these people, Melania Trump is supposedly made a statement, this person here made a statement, Trump is saying everybody, bring your flags down half-mast. That's basically saying that, Trump is trying to make it a so-called, with speech marks, a so-called Christian problem. Trump is doing this to show respect to the Christian or so-called Catholic way. So he can try and maybe hold on to the love from people that are Catholics or Christians or wacky-tacky, how Esau gets down, right? So he's probably maybe trying to win some people over there, all right? But we know, I believe, me personally, I think it's obviously other aspects involved as well, the love of many waxing cold, but also the fact that to take away more freedoms, all right? But we'll see in due time what the scenario and what the answer is. But since the powers that be are making they're making personal statements, they're saying this, that, and the third, because they don't really go this hard when it comes to our people being deleted. Have they flown the flags half-mast for the native Indians that were taken away? Have they flown half-mast flags for the so-called Black, Hispanic, and native Indian slaves that were deleted, hung, eaten, their rods cut off, the women raped, children raped? They've never done that. But they do it for a bunch of Edomites, right? Okay, let's go.
We'll never forget them. Now, there have been 415 hostile acts against the church across the country this year. There's also been a sharp rise in attacks on Christians over the past 7 years. Attacks have increased.
And also, this is going to bring Trump in for more police checks, more police, what do you call them? Martial law troops, National Guard, more roadblocks, people being checked, licenses being checked, because Conceal and carry is allowed in Minneapolis because I just checked the information on that. Obviously, you've got to apply first. So he wants to check all the people that are carrying maybe firearms, concealed and carry, if they're carrying in their glove compartment. Do you have a permit for it? This is basically gonna, he might, saying that attacks on U.S. Catholic and other Christian churches, hostile acts in 2024, 415, a 730% increase since 2018. So obviously, look at the number. They're saying that it's increased by. All right? Because we're coming into those times where people are going to be hating on each other and deleting each other. But then on the flip side, the powers that be can amplify numbers and they can do whatever they want because they own the media outlets and all that kind of thing. So this is just going to basically bring in the National Guard and martial law troops. And people, because this happened with children and children being deleted, and you know how parents, normal parents worry about their children, right? And their safety. They're going to be happy for these police checks, for these roadblocks, for people being searched, stop searches, firearm laws being making them more harder to acquire a firearm. This is take certain freedoms away. All right, let's go.
730% since 2018. Now, the shooter fired through the windows of the church and did not enter the building. He later died by suicide. Ashley, Todd.
Lucas Tomlinson live first. Lucas.
And this guy happened to die by suicide. We don't even know if this person actually really even exists. All right? Man, they can do anything with AI. The AI they show you, right? Or this kind of like, you can tell blatantly, that's AI. That's not even a real person. But they got AI so advanced that it looks real. All right? They've got technology way more ahead than what they show to you at these technological, what do they call them? You have Comic-Con and all that kind of shit. You got these places where it's like for tech heads and people showing off their new technology, where the Gooks have it, the Ammonites have it, Moab has it, and certain places in America have it, UK has it. Whatever they're showing you on camera, they got way better shit than that.
Thank you. In just a few hours, Minnesota officials are expected to give an update on the shooting as we learn more about the shooter and their motive.
The coward that shot these victims took his own life in the rear of the church. That coward has been identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman. No prior criminal history. As to the weapons used to perpetrate this horrific attack, there was a rifle, a shotgun, and a pistol. All three had been lawfully purchased by the shooter. At this stage, we believe that the shooter had acted alone. We are also aware of a manifesto that the shooter had timed to be released on YouTube. This manifesto appeared to show him at the scene and included some disturbing writings.
The shooting happened in Hennepin County, where Rich Stanek served as the sheriff. He joins us now. Rich, thanks for getting up and talking to us about this. I wish it was on better terms here, but what makes me the most sick about all of this, when you think about it, are those two kids who lost their lives. Their parents were putting them to bed for the last time the night before he was filming this horrific and disturbing manifesto about what he was going to do the next day. And that does not sit well with me. And I know it doesn't sit well with other parents. Did you ever think that?
And also remember one thing as well. A lot of these reporters with Fox News and other places, right? A lot of them are crisis actors.
Something like this would happen where you served as sheriff?
There really aren't words that can describe what happened yesterday here in Minneapolis. I mean, reprehensible, cowardice, and honestly, the third one I can't even say on live TV. And talking with first responders who were at the scene, they said it was horrific and ghastly. Young kids, parents,
You look at the children they're showing as well. The pale skin, the blonde hair, the little babies, and all of them basically Edomites, so-called white people, right? And this is going to stir up a lot of emotions, bro, with so-called white people around the country, that will agree with certain freedoms being taken away because they want their children safe. Guaranteed, if this was the other way around, this was like, say, I don't know, Alabama or some kind of hood in Chicago, and 10 Jakes got murdered, right? They would be laughing. They wouldn't give a shit. You know? They wouldn't give a shit. They wouldn't give a shit. They wouldn't give a shit. Okay? But this is going to, take away freedoms, man. All right?
Most vulnerable parts of our society, a church service, young school-age children in school that first week celebrating together, and then you have something like this.
When you talk to your colleagues in law enforcement there on the ground in Minnesota,
Salaki, when I said crisis actors, they use crisis actors, and a lot of the reporters are failed actors, meaning that they never made it in the real, in the acting world or whatever they actually wanted to do. So a lot of them become reporters afterwards, or they're approached by the powers that be or whatever, however it works, on that side of the fence, on the left-hand side. You know?
Any of them heard anything about this killer before? In other words, was he, she on anybody's radar?
You know,
if you kind of remind me of that statement in Boys in the Hood when Ice Cube says, on the news they show people being dying in the Middle East, so-called Middle East, and different parts of the world, and freedoms. When he talks about that the government don't care and everything, he goes, in not so many words, Ice Cube saying that niggas die in the hood every day, but nobody's talking about it, nobody's crying about it, nobody's showing it on the news, but yet they show the news from other parts of the world and other parts of the country, but nobody cares about so-called blacks or Hispanics dying in the hood. Even though Boys in the Hood was mainly focused on the Southern Kingdom, right?
The investigation will tell what exactly was the true motive. You've heard the FBI say they're looking at it as a domestic act of terrorism. You've heard them say they're looking at it as a hate crime. He really didn't have much of a criminal history. May have been a graduate.
More words that pop out. Domestic terrorism, hate crime. Domestic terrorism. Crime has increased by 700-something%, whatever the figure was earlier.
Of the school, still a lot of facts that need to be dug up and brought to light. But at this point, it really doesn't matter. The horrific incident happened. Children are dead. 17 others were, shot. And that's just one part of a series of tragic homicides in the city of Minneapolis in just 24 hours or less. There were 5 people killed, 4 different shootings, a mass shooting just less than 20 hours before this, 2 miles away from this elementary school out in front of a high school.
So there was a mass shooting 2 miles away. All right. So there's a mass shooting already that happened 2 miles away from that location. So this is like a back-to-back thing. I want to also check how big is Minneapolis, man, because it could be they're trying to lock down Minneapolis because it could be like a huge ass state, right? Because Texas is a massive state. You can fit England in there 5 times. So, and everybody, man, carries firearms in Texas. I've seen videos of Jake vloggers and all that shit. Then they drive pickup trucks and 4-wheel drives and shit. They've got AKs on the rack and all that, man. But anyway, and Edomites, walk around with cowboy hats and firearms down their waist. Okay. Is Minneapolis one of the largest states in America? Oh, it's a city. Sorry. I'm from England, so my geography is not so good. Okay. Is Minneapolis one of the largest cities in Minnesota? Yes, Minneapolis is the largest city in Minnesota by population. Residents, it's about the size of London. Yeah, more or less. We've got about the same people. Maybe not the same size as London, but yeah, we got more larger population than that in London. And London is fucking crowded though. So yeah, that kind of makes sense. It's the largest city in Minnesota, which kind of makes sense. The shootings back to back. probably just trying to get control of all the large gun-dominated areas as well. You know.
And we can do so much better as residents of Minneapolis, the public. Everybody wants to help. Some people don't know quite how to help, but just be supportive.
The age of this person is something that comes into question for me. 21, 23 years old.
23.
And I'm just wondering, can the parents be held accountable for anything that happened here? Or is the age, since this person was over the age of 18, can they not be held accountable?
I think, again, facts will come out through the intense investigation by federal, state, local law enforcement. But it appears from what the Minneapolis police chief said that the guns were purchased illegally, not through a straw buyer, not something like that. But they're going to look at all those through a straw. The Minneapolis police chief said that the guns were purchased illegally, not through.
And the guns were purchased illegally, by the way. I thought it was purchased legally. That's what they said earlier on. Now he's saying illegally. So which one is it? Illegally or legally?
A straw buyer, not something like that. But they're going to look at all those things. The fact of the matter is, this suspect, if he was age 22, 23, is a legal adult here in Minnesota, in this country. And, it's just tragic how this came to this. I'm sure they're going to find mental health issues. They're going to find, patterns of behavior that weren't quite right. The question is, who did what when they learned about it? Who did they talk to? Who did they report it to? I saw, like many of you, his manifesto posted online yesterday afternoon. You watched that, 11 minutes of it, like I saw.
You've got to watch what kind of pictures it shows. Oh, look at the affection the person in authority is having for the fat lady there, the fat mother or grandmother, wherever she is. He's holding on to her, he's rubbing her back. They're saying, oh, such a caring police officer or sheriff or, whatever, right? And they're going to have more faith in the National Guard, martial law troops or whatever, all these coppers and all that kind of thing, army, Because a lot of them are already saying it. You've got a lot of Jake people saying that, yeah, man, these, like with these troops being unleashed into the 19 states as Trump said that he's going to do it, a lot of Jakes are saying that, yeah, it's already taken effect. The crime has gone down or whatever. And a lot of people are saying, yeah, clean up our streets for our babies. Not realizing that they're going to try and put a chain around your baby's neck, especially you Israelites, and try and delete them.
And you go, something is definitely wrong here. We can do so much better.
And to that point, Rich, Melania Trump speaking out following yesterday's horrific event, saying there needs to be some kind of preemptive intervention. And she's referring in large part to the mental health aspect of this. I'd like to focus on the law enforcement. I was listening to Trace Gallagher's show, and he had an individual, Aaron Cohen, on saying he's starting a program that basically has AI scouring the web for any possible warning signs. Would that help find and stop a potential killer like this well before they even think about doing something as horrific as this?
Well, law enforcement will tell you, the FBI will tell you that mental illness is a factor in many of these people who act out like this, and it's not the first time. This suspected shooter was not shy about using social media. As you know, he posted this and timed it so that it would be released after the shooting happened, and maybe...
I'll leave it there. I think got the point there, right? Regardless whether this is done by the powers that be to steer the vehicle of the New World Order into a certain direction, okay? Or whether this is actually a real deletion or deleted people, it's all done by Yahweh Bahashem Yahushai for prophecy to take place and for Esau's kingdom to be destroyed. All right? Isaiah 45 verse 7, King James Version. I form the light and create darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things. I kill and make alive. KJV. Deuteronomy 32 and 39. See now that I, even I, am He, and there is no God with me. I kill and I make alive. I wound and I heal. Neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. And that applies to every single individual on this planet Earth, because Yahweh Shem Yashai, right? You know, once your ticket is punched, your ticket is punched. This ain't no fucking final destination where you can try and avoid it. All right? Unless the Lord wants to play with you like that, you know? The Lord wants to just play with you, send the demons on the left-hand side to go out there, just play with your mind. You know, like that song, My Mind is Playing Tricks on Me, just to sort of play around with you, you know, shove you around a bit before you actually get deleted. The Lord can do whatever He wants. He's the supreme power of heaven and earth and beyond. All right. Nevertheless, okay, we can analyze this situation and see various factors that will be alluding to the progression of the New World Order. Okay, but the Lord is not going to let their project, let's just call it a project, their project come to fruition. All right. Anyway, all praise to Yahweh B'Hashem Yashai B'Hashem Rakah Kodash Mawatha Bad Babal Kwam Yashra Shalom.